So one facet of the Narc's work that they do on you is as I mentioned, they replace your um, previously held principles. They override your principles and replace them with a different set of principles. They trick you. Um, they think it's funny to trick you. They're very mischievous. Um, they really like nice people because nice people are always trying to self-sacrifice. Um, and people that naturally have a good conscience are naturally inclined to question themselves. Um, so they play on that. They play on that self-questioning, um, that conscience, and they make good people uh, responsible for their lives. The number one thing you're not allowed to do in the Narc's mind, the number one taboo, is you're not allowed to have selfish desires. In other words, you're not allowed to want anything other than the Narc's happiness. The only thing you're allowed to want is things that are good for the Narc. If you want anything for yourself, they will label you as selfish. And the reason you believe it is because, you're a good person. And if somebody calls you selfish, you're inclined to think, wow, maybe they're right. Maybe there's something to that. But most of the time there really isn't. With the Narc, there never is. They're calling you selfish just as a mind game to try to get you to do what they want. So, you know, I've described it like this. The Narc will tell you you only care about yourself, and what they're really saying is you care about yourself to some degree, and that's a problem because you're only allowed to care about me, not yourself. So you're allowed to want money if the money is for the Narc. You're not allowed to want money just for your own sake, or you're not allowed to want anything unless you give it to the Narc. Anything that you want is property of the Narc. Anything good in your life is actually not yours, it's theirs. The reason you buy into this trick that they play on you is, like I said, you're naturally a very giving person, so they pretty much just suck you dry completely. And they have no empathy, so they don't have any problem with doing this. They don't feel bad. So there's no empathy to prevent them. But yeah, the number one thing you're not allowed to do, the number one taboo in the Narc's mind, is that you have any desires other than the desire to please them. Any desires other than that are strictly taboo. And they will basically implant and project fear onto you to the point where you will literally confuse your reality with the desire to please them. So in other words, like, not pleasing them in your mind will begin to be rewired into danger. And they do this on purpose. Like I said, they're replacing your principles, your natural principles, with a desire to please them and projecting this whole mechanism of pleasing them, projecting their whole reality onto you. Everything that is true about, that they accuse you of, is actually true about them. So if they accuse you of being selfish, only caring about yourself, it's very, very true about them, not about you. And like I said, the reason you believe it is because you are not a Narc and you aren't a sociopath, so you actually have a strong sense of morality and duty, and you have a conscience, and they're just taking advantage of that. So once again, they override your principles. They guilt trip you into abandoning your principles. They replace your principles with the this new set of principles, which is based around pleasing them and giving them what they want. And this is all an attempt to make you into their slave, um, by making you think that not pleasing them and giving them what they want is actually dangerous to your life, or to something it's very serious if they don't get what they want. If you point this out to them that they're doing this, they just think it's funny. It's like, ha ha, you know, yeah, it's just a joke to them. Even though it could potentially like ruin your whole life, and it doesn't matter to them because to them it's just like a fun little game. So yeah, the number one thing you're not allowed to do, the number one taboo in the narc's mind for you, is for you to want anything other than to please them.